Have you ever wondered why some people in their 70s seem to radiate such peace, while others carry a weight that makes every day feel like a struggle? Buddhism offers us profound wisdom that speaks directly to this question, teaching us that the later years of life are not about decline, but about liberation. Through ancient stories and timeless teachings, we will discover that after 70, true happiness doesn't come from holding on tighter, but from finally learning to let go. Together, we will explore 8 Buddhist truths that, when released, transform the burden of aging into the gift of lightness. We'll learn from masters who found their greatest freedom in their final decades, and discover how you too can make these years not just bearable, but beautiful. Join us on this journey of wisdom and transformation, where we'll learn that growing older is not about losing life, it's about distilling it down to what truly matters. 1. The weight of waiting. Letting go of expecting others to bring your happiness. Once upon a time, there was an elderly monk who sat by the monastery gate every morning, watching the road. His students noticed that he seemed restless, constantly looking toward the horizon. One day, a young monk asked him, "Master, what are you waiting for?" The old monk sighed deeply. "I am waiting for my son to visit. He lives in the city now, busy with his life. Surely, he will come soon and bring me joy." Days turned into weeks, then months. The old monk grew more bitter with each passing day. His meditation suffered, his teaching became harsh. The joy that once filled his presence had vanished, replaced by a quiet resentment. Then, one morning, the abbot approached him with a simple question. "Tell me, when your son was young and needed you, did he have to wait for you to decide when to love him?" The old monk was silent. The abbot continued, "A candle does not wait for another flame to give it light. It simply burns with its own brightness." This story speaks to one of the most common burdens carried by people after 70, the silent, exhausting act of waiting. How many of us find ourselves waiting for a phone call that doesn't come, waiting for appreciation that seems overdue, waiting for someone to notice our loneliness and fix it? Buddhism teaches us something powerful. Happiness was never meant to be delivered by others, like a package at your door. It was meant to be cultivated from within, like a garden you tend with your own hands. Think about it this way: when you were younger, you were so busy building, achieving, proving yourself that you rarely stopped to ask, "Am I happy right now, in this very moment?" You postponed joy, thinking it would arrive when you accomplished the next goal, earned the next promotion, received the next recognition. But after 70, there's a beautiful clarity that can emerge. The future is shorter. The present is all you truly have. And in this present moment, happiness is not something you wait for, it's something you create. What does this look like in practice? It's finding contentment in the warmth of morning sunlight streaming through your window. It's the satisfaction of brewing your tea exactly the way you like it. It's the quiet pleasure of finishing a chapter in a book you've been meaning to read for years. These simple moments don't require anyone else's presence or approval. They are yours, complete and whole, asking nothing in return. Buddhism tells us about the practice of santosha contentment, not the contentment that comes from getting everything you want, but the contentment that comes from wanting what you already have. When you understand this, life immediately becomes lighter. The weight of expectation falls away. The resentment toward those who don't give you what you think you need dissolves. In its place, a gentle self-sufficiency grows, not cold or isolated, but warm and complete. A Buddhist teacher once said, Every breath is a new chance. Even if you've spent decades waiting for others to make you happy, this breath right now is your opportunity to stop waiting and start living. 2. The courage to step back. Letting go of relationships that drain your peace. In ancient China, there lived an old man known for his wisdom and kindness. People traveled from distant villages to seek his counsel. Yet there was one visitor who came monthly, and after each visit, the old man would spend days in silence, his energy visibly depleted. His grandson noticed this pattern and finally asked, "Grandfather, this visitor seems to take something from you. Why do you continue to see him?" The old man smiled sadly. "He is an old friend from my youth. We shared many years together. How can I turn him away?" The grandson thought for a moment, then said, "But grandfather, you teach that rivers flow forward, not backward. Is this friendship a river, or is it a stone tied around your neck?" The old man was quiet for a long time. Finally, he said, "You are wise beyond your years. Sometimes love means letting go, even when it feels like betrayal." How many of us carry relationships that no longer nourish us simply because we've carried them for so long? After 70, your energy is precious. Your peace of mind is sacred. Time is no longer an endless resource. Buddhism teaches us something that might feel uncomfortable at first. Compassion does not require endurance of harm. Kindness does not mean sacrificing your own well-being. Think about the conversations you have. Do some leave you feeling energized, curious, connected? Do others leave you feeling drained, small, tense? The difference is not always obvious, but your body knows. Your heart knows. There's a Buddhist concept called mudita, sympathetic joy. It means taking pleasure in the happiness and success of others. But here's what it doesn't mean. It doesn't mean you must absorb their negativity, their complaints, their constant demands for emotional labor. You can wish someone well from a distance. You can hold compassion in your heart without holding their chaos in your daily life. Many people over 70 tell themselves stories that trap them. Family is family. You can't just walk away. This person needs me. Who will I be if I'm not needed? I've known them for 40 years. It would be cruel to create distance now. But here's a question worth asking. After how many conversations do you feel lighter versus heavier? If you honestly tracked this, what would you discover? A Zen master once said, "In the monastery, we don't keep broken bells. Not because they are worthless, but because they no longer serve their purpose. We honor what they were, and we release them." Choosing distance is not cruelty. It's wisdom. It's honoring the truth that relationships should add to your life, not subtract from it. It's understanding that your remaining years deserve to be filled with connections that uplift, not deplete. This doesn't mean you become cold or isolated. It means you become intentional. You create space in your life for relationships that genuinely nourish you, rather than filling that space with obligations that drain you. Buddhism reminds us, peace is not selfish. Self-preservation is not betrayal. Protecting your energy is an act of self-compassion, and sometimes the most respectful thing you can do for others is to step back and allow them to find their own path. 3. The liberation of space, letting go of objects and memories that weigh you down. There's an old Buddhist parable about a traveling monk who carried 2 bags, one filled with stones he collected from places he loved, and another filled with stones from places where he had suffered. After many years, both bags had become so heavy that he could barely walk. One day, exhausted, He collapsed by the roadside. A young monk found him and asked, "Why do you carry these heavy bags?" The old monk explained, "These stones on the left are my beautiful memories. These stones on the right are my painful ones. I cannot let go of either. They are who I am." The young monk sat beside him and said gently, "Tell me, when you hold these stones, do the good memories become more beautiful? Do the painful ones hurt less?" The old monk realized with sudden clarity, "No, they stay the same. I am simply too tired to continue the journey." The young monk smiled. "Then perhaps it is time to set them down. The memories don't disappear when you release the stones, but you become light enough to continue walking." How many of us live in homes that have become museums? Every drawer filled with items we haven't used in years. Every closet packed with clothes that no longer fit. Every shelf crowded with objects that once meant something but now simply gather dust. And beyond the physical objects, what about the memories we carry? The grudges from decades ago, the regrets we replay endlessly, the if-onlys that haunt our quiet moments. Buddhism teaches a principle called anicca impermanence. Everything changes, everything passes. The person you were at 30 is not who you are at 70. The relationships that mattered then may not serve you now. The possessions that once brought you pride may now simply create clutter. But here's the beautiful truth. Letting go does not erase value. When you release an object, you don't erase the memory attached to it. When you forgive an old hurt, you don't pretend it never happened. You simply stop allowing it to occupy space in your present. Think of your home. Think of your heart. Are they crowded? Is there room to breathe? A cluttered space cannot hold stillness. A cluttered heart cannot rest. There was once a woman who kept every letter her late husband had written her. Boxes and boxes of them, stacked in a spare room. She told herself she was honoring his memory, but every time she passed that room, she felt a heaviness. The shrine she had created had become a prison. One day, her daughter suggested, "What if you kept just the most beautiful letters, the ones that truly capture his spirit? The rest can be released with gratitude." At first, the woman resisted. It felt like betrayal. But slowly, she began the process. She read each letter, thanked it, and let it go. She kept only a handful, the ones that made her laugh, the ones that reminded her of his kindness. And something unexpected happened. The memories became clearer, not dimmer. Freed from the burden of preserving everything, she could finally savor what truly mattered. This is what Buddhism calls renunciation, not deprivation, but liberation. You're not giving up what matters. You're releasing what no longer serves, so that what truly matters can shine more brightly. After 70, you have permission to be ruthless with clutter, both physical and emotional. You don't need to justify every object you release. You don't need to carry every old story. You can choose lightness over preservation. Ask yourself, when I walk through my home, do I feel peace or overwhelm? When I review my memories, do they bring me joy or keep me stuck? Life doesn't require you to carry everything you've ever experienced. Life simply asks you to show up present and available for this moment. And that's so much easier to do when you're not weighed down by things that belong to the past. 4. The gift of depth, letting go of the fear of aging. In a monastery high in the mountains, there lived a monk who had spent 50 years in meditation. As he approached his 80th year, a young visitor asked him, "Master, aren't you afraid of death? Aren't you sad that your body grows weaker?" The old monk chuckled. "When I was young, I climbed these mountains with great speed and strength. I felt powerful, unstoppable. But do you know what I missed? The visitor shook his head. I missed everything, the monk continued. I was so focused on reaching the summit that I never noticed the flowers along the path. I never heard the birds singing in the trees. I never felt the texture of the bark beneath my fingers. Now, I move slowly. My legs are weak. But for the first time, I truly see. For the first time, I am actually here. This is the truth that Buddhism reveals about aging. It is not a descent into less, but an ascent into more presence, more awareness, more depth. We fear aging because society tells us it represents loss of beauty, loss of strength, loss of relevance, loss of purpose. But what if aging is not loss at all? What if it is transformation? Buddhism teaches us that resistance creates suffering. When we fight against what is inevitable, we exhaust ourselves without changing the outcome. But when we accept what is, something miraculous happens. We find peace within it. The Buddha himself taught, everything changes. Everything is impermanent. Your body at 25 was not meant to last forever. Your body at 70 is not a betrayal. It is simply the natural expression of time. Think about the 4 seasons. Does spring mourn that it will become summer? Does autumn rage against the coming of winter? No. Each season has its dignity, its purpose, its beauty. And so it is with the seasons of life. At 70 and beyond, you are in the season of depth. The noise of earlier life quiets down. The pressure to perform, to prove, to impress, it loosens its grip. What remains is essence. A Buddhist teacher once said, aging is not life moving away from you. It is life moving deeper into you. Your body may slow, but your awareness can sharpen. Your social circle may shrink, but your relationships can deepen. Your future may shorten, but your presence can expand. This doesn't mean there won't be challenges. Pain is real, illness is real, limitation is real. Buddhism doesn't deny these truths, but it offers us a different relationship with them. Instead of asking, why is this happening to me? We can ask, what is this teaching me? Instead of seeing aging as punishment, we can see it as clarification. All the distractions fall away. What's left is what matters most. There's a Zen koan that asks, what did your face look like before your parents were born? It points to the eternal self beneath all the changing forms. Your body ages, your mind ages, but something within you, call it consciousness, spirit, Buddha nature, remains unchanged. When you connect with that unchanging part of yourself, the fear of aging loses its power. Because you realize, I am not this body alone. I am not this collection of memories and experiences. I am something vaster, something that cannot diminish. So let the body change. Let the hair turn grey. Let the skin wrinkle and the joints stiffen. These are simply the natural markings of a life fully lived. Your value is not in your appearance or your productivity. Your value is in your presence, your wisdom, your capacity to be fully alive in this moment. And that capacity doesn't decrease with age. If anything, it increases if you let it. 5. The beginner's mind, letting go of the belief that you already know enough. There's a famous Zen story about a university professor who visited a master to learn about Zen. The master served tea. He poured the visitor's cup full and then kept pouring. Tea overflowed and spilled onto the table. The professor watched the overflow until he could no longer restrain himself. It's overfull. no more will go in. Like this cup, the master said, you are full of your own opinions and speculations. How can I show you Zen unless you first empty your cup? How many of us reach 70 with a cup so full that nothing new can enter? We've spent decades accumulating knowledge, forming opinions, developing perspectives, and somewhere along the way, we stopped being students. We became authorities on life, on people, on how things should be. Buddhism calls this the danger of fixed mind. When the mind becomes rigid, life narrows, curiosity fades, wonder disappears, and without realizing it, we stop growing. But here's what Buddhism teaches. The mind can stiffen long before the body does. And when it does, we're not fully alive anymore. We're simply replaying old patterns, old thoughts, old reactions. A Buddhist master was once asked, "What is enlightenment?" He replied, "When I eat, I eat. When I sleep, I sleep." The questioner was confused. "But doesn't everyone do this?" The master smiled. "No. When most people eat, they are thinking about the next meal. When they sleep, they are worrying about tomorrow. They are never fully where they are. After 70, there's a profound opportunity to return to beginner's mind, to approach each day as if you've never lived it before. Because you haven't. This day, this moment, is brand new. This doesn't mean you discard your wisdom or experience. It means you hold them lightly, not as rigid rules, but as flexible guides. Have you ever noticed how children experience the world? Everything is fascinating. A butterfly landing on a flower, the way light reflects in a puddle, the sound of laughter echoing in a room. Somewhere along the way, we lost this capacity. We decided we already knew what butterflies were, what puddles were, what laughter was. We stopped really looking, really listening, really experiencing. But you can reclaim this. Right now. Today. One practice Buddhism offers is called Shoshin Beginner's Mind. It's the practice of approaching everything with openness, eagerness, and lack of preconceptions, even when studying at an advanced level. Imagine eating a meal with beginner's mind, really tasting each bite, noticing the textures, the temperatures, the subtle flavors. Most of us eat on autopilot, barely aware of what we're consuming. Imagine having a conversation with beginner's mind, really listening to the other person, not planning your response, being genuinely curious about their perspective, even if you think you already know what they're going to say. Imagine looking at your own life with beginner's mind. What if you didn't already know what it all meant? What if you could be surprised by yourself? Learning keeps the spirit flexible, not learning to impress others or add credentials to your name, learning for the pure joy of discovery. Learning because life is endlessly interesting when you pay attention. Maybe you learn a new language. Maybe you try painting for the first time. Maybe you explore a subject you've always been curious about but never had time for. Or maybe you simply practice seeing the familiar as if it were new. The street you've walked 1,000 times, what do you notice today that you've never noticed before? The partner you've lived with for decades, what can you learn about them today? Your own mind, your own heart, what mysteries remain to be discovered? A Zen master once said, "In the beginner's mind there are many possibilities. In the expert's mind there are few." After 70, you have a choice. You can close your mind and declare, "I know how life works. I know who I am. I know what's possible." Or you can open your mind and say, "I'm still learning. I'm still discovering. I'm still becoming." One path leads to rigidity and stagnation. The other leads to flexibility and aliveness. Which will you choose? 6. The dignity of depth. Letting go of comparing yourself to the young. In a small village, there lived 2 trees, one young and vibrant, the other ancient and gnarled. The young tree would boast about its smooth bark and flexible branches that danced gracefully in the wind. The old tree said nothing. One day, a terrible storm came. The young tree bent and swayed, its branches whipping violently. "Look at me," it cried to the old tree. "I am so flexible, so strong. Can you move like this?" The old tree stood firm, its deep roots anchoring it to the earth. "No," it replied calmly. "I cannot move as you do, but I do not need to." When the storm passed, the young tree was exhausted, some of its branches broken from the wild movement. The old tree stood unchanged, sheltering the small animals that had taken refuge beneath its wide canopy. A passing monk noticed this and said, "Each tree serves its purpose. The young tree reaches for the sky. The old tree roots into wisdom." How often do we measure ourselves against the young? They have energy we've lost, speed we can no longer match, opportunities we no longer have. And in this comparison, we shrink, we feel diminished, we mourn what we were instead of celebrating what we are. Buddhism teaches us that comparison is a thief of joy. When you measure your autumn against someone else's spring, you will always feel like you're losing. But here's the truth. Every season has its dignity. Every age has its gifts. Youth has energy. Age has depth. Youth has potential. Age has realization. Youth has questions. Age has understanding. These are not lesser qualities. They are simply different and equally valuable. Think about wine. A young wine is bright and energetic. An aged wine is complex and nuanced. Which is better? Neither. They serve different purposes. They offer different pleasures. You are not a worse version of your younger self. You are a refined version, distilled, concentrated, clarified. The wrinkles on your face are not flaws, they're evidence of a life fully lived. The slowness of your step is not decline, it's the natural rhythm of wisdom that doesn't need to rush. The Buddha taught about mudita, taking joy in the happiness of others without envy. This includes taking joy in the vitality of young people without feeling diminished by it. When you see a young person running, you don't need to feel sad that you can no longer run that fast. You can simply appreciate the beauty of movement, remembering how it felt when you moved that way, grateful for the different gifts you now possess. There's a beautiful practice in Buddhism called reflection on the 4 stages of life. It reminds us that each stage, childhood, adulthood, middle age, and old age, brings its own blessings and challenges. In old age, the blessings are profound. You have perspective that only decades can bring. You have emotional regulation that comes from weathering many storms. You have the freedom to prioritize what truly matters because you've learned what doesn't. These are not consolation prizes. They are treasures that the young simply cannot possess, no matter how energetic or beautiful they are. A Zen master was once asked, "What do you do now that you're old and can no longer travel to teach?" He replied, "I sit. I breathe. I notice. I am finally still enough to see what I spent my whole life rushing past." This is the gift of age, the capacity to be present, to notice, to savor, to rest in the moment without always pushing toward the next thing. Young people are always becoming. Older people have the privilege of simply being. So stop measuring yourself against those who are in a different season. Stop mourning the energy you no longer have. Stop wishing you could go back. Instead, ask yourself, what can I do now that I couldn't do when I was young? What do I understand now that I couldn't understand then? What peace do I possess now that eluded me in my earlier years? When you answer these questions honestly, you'll discover that age has not diminished you. It has deepened you. And depth, quiet, profound, unshakable depth is a gift beyond measure. 7. The freedom of forgiveness. Letting go of regret as a life sentence. In a monastery, there was a monk who had lived there for 40 years. Despite decades of meditation and practice, he seemed unable to find peace. His face was tight with tension. His shoulders carried an invisible weight. One day, the abbot asked him, "What happened 40 years ago that you cannot release?" The monk's eyes filled with tears. "I made a terrible mistake. I hurt someone I loved. I've been trying to atone ever since, but the guilt never leaves." The abbot said gently, "Tell me, if you saw a young monk commit this same mistake today, would you insist he punish himself for the rest of his life?" "Of course not," the monk replied. "I would tell him to learn from it and move forward." "Then why," the abbot asked, "do you treat yourself with less compassion than you would treat another?" The monk had no answer. The abbot continued, "The past was a teacher, not a prison. You have already learned the lesson. Now it is time to release the punishment. How many of us carry regrets like invisible chains? Mistakes we made decades ago, words we spoke that we wish we could take back, choices we regret, opportunities we missed. And we replay these moments endlessly, as if by tormenting ourselves we could somehow change what happened. But we can't. The past is fixed, unchangeable, and no amount of guilt will alter it. Buddhism teaches us about the concept of karma, but not in the way most people understand it. Karma is not punishment, it's cause and effect. It's simply the natural law that actions have consequences. But here's what many people miss. The consequence of holding on to regret is continued suffering, not in the future. Right now, today. When you punish yourself endlessly for past mistakes, you're creating new karma of suffering, adding to the original pain rather than healing from it. The Buddha taught about the two arrows. When we experience pain, that's the first arrow, unavoidable, part of life. But when we add our reaction to that pain, our resistance, our rumination, our self-punishment, that's the second arrow. And this arrow is optional. You made a mistake years ago. That's the first arrow. You cannot remove it. But the choice to suffer about it today, to let it define you, to carry it like a burden, that's the second arrow. And that one you can put down. There was once a woman who spent 20 years regretting that she hadn't visited her mother before she died. "I was busy," she would say. "I thought I had more time. I can never forgive myself." One day, a friend asked her, "If your mother could speak to you now, what would she say?" The woman was quiet, then whispered, "She would tell me to stop suffering. She would tell me she understands. She would tell me to live my life." "Then why," the friend asked gently, "are you doing the opposite of what she would want for you?" This is the power of self-compassion, not to excuse what happened, but to release the endless punishment, not to forget the lesson, but to stop suffering the same pain over and over. Buddhism offers a practice called metta loving kindness. It begins with directing compassion toward yourself, not because you're perfect, not because you've never made mistakes, but because you're human, and humans, by their very nature, are imperfect. The practice is simple. May I be free from suffering. At first, it might feel impossible. How can you forgive yourself when you can't forget what you did? But here's the key insight. Forgiving yourself doesn't mean forgetting. It doesn't mean what happened was okay. It means you're choosing to stop adding new suffering to old pain. It means you're acknowledging that you've carried this burden long enough, that you've learned what there was to learn, that continuing to punish yourself serves no one, not you, not the person you hurt, not the world. A Zen master once said, "Guilt is a stone we choose to carry. Wisdom is knowing when to set it down." You don't need permission to forgive yourself. You don't need to have atoned enough. You don't need to wait until you feel worthy. You simply need to make the choice. I will no longer let the past imprison my present. And when you make that choice, really make it, something shifts. The weight lifts. The chain breaks. You're still you, with all your history. But you're free. Free to be present. Free to be kind to yourself. Free to live the remaining years of your life without dragging the mistakes of the past behind you. This is the gift of forgiveness. Not perfection, not erasure, just freedom. And freedom, true freedom, is what every Buddhist teaching ultimately points toward. 8. The power of now, letting go of the thought that it's too late. There was once a man who wanted to learn to play the violin. But he was 75 years old, and everyone told him it was too late. "You'll never master it at your age," they said. "You should have started when you were young." Discouraged, he almost gave up. Then he met an old musician who asked him a simple question. "If you don't start now, how will you play when you're 80? The man realized, whether he starts or not, he'll be 80 one day. The only question is whether he'll be an 80-year-old who can play the violin or an 80-year-old who gave up before he tried. So he started. Slowly, awkwardly, with hands that didn't move as nimbly as they once might have. But he started. And 5 years later, at 80, he played his first recital. Was he a master? No. But he was joyful. And joy, it turns out, was the whole point. How many dreams have you buried under the words, "It's too late"? How many possibilities have you dismissed because you think you're too old? It's been too long. The moment has passed. Buddhism teaches us that this thought, "it's too late," is one of the most destructive lies we tell ourselves, because as long as you're breathing, life is still happening. As long as you're conscious, change is still possible. The Buddha himself said, "The trouble is, you think you have time. We waste our days waiting for better conditions, younger bodies, more energy. We postpone joy, thinking we'll deserve it later, after we've accomplished more, after we've become better. But later never comes. There's only now, and now is asking, what will you do with this moment?" At 70 and beyond, you might think, "I don't have enough time left to start something new." But here's the question, compared to what? If you have 5 years left, and you spend them believing it's too late, you'll arrive at the end with nothing but regret. But if you spend those same 5 years engaged in something meaningful, learning something new, pursuing something that brings you joy, you'll arrive at the end with richness. The amount of time matters less than what you do with it. There's a beautiful Buddhist teaching about the precious human life. It reminds us that being alive, being conscious, being capable of growth, these are rare gifts. Most beings in the universe don't have this opportunity. but we do. Right now, today. So, what does it mean to waste this gift? It means to spend it believing you're too old, too late, too broken to begin. A Zen master was once asked, "When is the best time to plant a tree?" He replied, 20 years ago. Then he smiled. The second best time is now. You cannot reclaim the years that have passed. You cannot go back and make different choices, but you can plant new seeds today. You can begin where you are, with what you have. Maybe you've always wanted to write but told yourself it's too late to start. What if you wrote just one page? Not to publish a book, not to become famous, just to express what's in your heart. Maybe you've always wanted to reconnect with an old friend but thought too much time had passed. What if you sent one message, not to erase the years of silence, just to say, "I thought of you. I hope you're well." Maybe you've always wanted to learn to meditate, to paint, to garden, to volunteer. What if you took one small step today? Buddhism teaches us that transformation doesn't require dramatic gestures. It requires simple, consistent action in the present moment. There's a monk who became famous for his calligraphy. People traveled from across the country to acquire his work. When asked when he started practicing, he said, "At 72. Someone asked, "Weren't you discouraged starting so late?" He replied, "Late compared to what? I had never done it before, so for me it was exactly the right time." This is the freedom that comes from releasing the thought it's too late. You stop measuring yourself against some imaginary timeline. You stop comparing your beginning to someone else's middle. You simply show up, present, willing, open. And you begin. Not dramatically, not perfectly. Just gently, with whatever is available to you right now. Because the truth is, as long as breath continues, life is still unfolding. As long as awareness remains, change is still possible. You don't need a new life. You only need to begin where you are. Not forcefully, not desperately, just softly, like a flower opening to the sun. One moment, one breath, one small choice at a time. It's not too late. It never was. And so, we return to where we began, the question of why some people radiate peace in their later years while others carry such weight. We've explored 8 Buddhist truths that, when released, transform the burden of age into the gift of lightness. Letting go of waiting for others to bring your happiness and discovering joy in the present moment. Letting go of relationships that drain your peace and protecting your precious energy. Letting go of objects and memories that weigh you down and creating space to breathe. Letting go of the fear of aging and discovering the depth that only time can bring. Letting go of the belief you already know enough and returning to beginner's mind. Letting go of comparing yourself to the young and honoring the dignity of your own season. Letting go of regret as a life sentence and choosing freedom through forgiveness. Letting go of the thought that it's too late and beginning right now where you are. These are not one-time decisions, they are daily practices. Some days will be easier than others. Some releases will feel natural, others will require courage. But here's what Buddhism promises. Every release, no matter how small, creates space. And in that space, peace has room to grow. You don't need to achieve all of this at once. You don't need to become a different person. You simply need to loosen your grip, bit by bit, on what no longer serves you. Like the monk by the roadside who finally set down his heavy bags of stones, you can choose lightness over burden, presence over waiting, peace over struggle. After 70, life doesn't ask you to become more. It invites you to become lighter. Fewer expectations, fewer regrets, fewer comparisons, fewer fears. More presence, more peace, more acceptance, more joy. This is the quiet art of living lightly. Not a distant goal to achieve, but a choice available to you right now, in this very breath. May you find the courage to let go. May you discover the peace that comes from releasing what you cannot change. May you live your remaining years with lightness, wisdom, and a heart that finally knows it was never about holding on tighter. It was always about learning to let go. If this teaching has touched you, we invite you to share it with others who might need to hear it. Subscribe to continue this journey of wisdom and transformation together. And in the comments, tell us which of these 8 truths speaks to you most. What are you ready to release? We're all on this path together, learning to live lightly, one breath at a time. Thank you for being here.